On this week's The Next Interview with our host Doland White, you'll hear Jenn Greenhut explain exactly how trust, accountability, and self-leadership are forged when life puts you under maximum pressure, and how leaders can apply those lessons immediately. As you listen to this conversation, pay attention to where trust, clarity, or accountability either show up or break down. That's exactly what the Empowerment Blueprint Toolkit helps you assess. It shows you where leadership friction is coming from and gives you a clear path forward. You can grab it in the show notes. Now let's jump in.
Welcome to the Next Interview Show podcast. I'm Doland White, and as the announcer mentioned coming through the front door, I am the host of the podcast. And every episode, I start the episode by talking about two things. The very first thing is I love the conversations, and I get to have conversations with some brilliant leaders and brilliant business people, business entrepreneurs. And today is no different. Today is Jenn Greenhut, if I can.
Greenhut, yeah.
I've been talking all day. So Jenn Greenhut, and I'm grateful for you're here. Just as a moment of gratitude, I know there's a thousand other places you could be and a lot of other things you could be doing. And you're going to spend a half hour or so, 40 minutes with me talking about you and your career and your life and leadership and sharing things. And so I just want to tell you, thank you for being here and thank you for taking time out of the day to come hang out with me.
My pleasure. And a side note, this is the best place that I would love to be right here, right now. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Well, so I have a very infrequently do I actually read from the notes I have on the side of my screen, but for bios, I always do. And it's Jenn Greenhut is the founder of Love Zero Negative, which I really want us to talk about, a lifestyle brand and movement built on the belief that every challenge can be transformed into love, gratitude, and growth. You're also co-author of a book written with some guy named Larry. I don't know what that's all about. We'll talk about that too. Called Everyone Needs a Larry. And I'm really interested in kind of exploring those and seeing where this conversation goes. So as we kind of get started, Jenn, I think one of the things that would be great for the listeners to the podcast is just a bit about your story and your journey and kind of what brought us, it's a lot to get done in a few minutes, but kind of what brought us here today into where we are. And then we'll go on from there into a conversation.
Okay. Well, so my transformation in my life came through stage 4 cancer. When I was not considered going to live past 5 years. I was given a 12% chance of living. Mm-hmm. And immediately when I was diagnosed, I went through like the worst case scenario. I'm going to die. And the reason I'm going to die is because I failed at my purpose. And my purpose in my mind was to be a mom. And right before my diagnosis, I was newlywed, married for a year and a half. We had been going through IVF round after round after round, and I was failing every round.
Sure.
And I was feeling like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I have what I want? This is why I'm here. This is what I want. What's wrong? And I just felt so defeated, so depressed, and that life hated me because I was in like, I hate me too. And then, my husband and I decided, okay, we're going to pause from IVF. Let's get a dog. We got a dog. I'm trying to find what's going to happen in my life, but still with this feeling like I'm not really worthy of, having a child. Then I'm diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And I thought life was trying to get rid of me because I failed. And a little backstory about me, I was a gymnast as a kid. I left home at 14 to train for the Olympics in gymnastics. I grew up in New York City. I went to Allentown, Pennsylvania. I did really well. I was on the United States national team. I traveled all over the world. I learned how to make a perfect ponytail because that was gymnastics. Everything had to be perfect.
Sure.
So I grew up with a culture of I'm only as good as my score. I'm only as good as what I look like in a leotard. How perfect is my hair? And how great, do I stick my landings? And after that experience, I actually blew out my knee, so it kept me out of out of the Olympics. Ended up going to college at UCLA, back to New York, studied acting and singing and songwriting and yoga. But deep down, I carried this perfectionism, this need to please, this need to perform, this need to achieve.
Sure.
So this awareness, all I want is to have a kid and to be married and have kids with my sister and my friends and, do what my mom did. So that was my mindset before cancer. So now I'm going to die because I didn't fulfill my purpose. And then I start praying to someone up there, please let me live. I promise I will give back. I will do whatever I need to do. Show me to the right doctor that could possibly save my life. So that was like my deal. I had 3 doctor appointments set up, one at 3 hospitals.
Right.
The first appointment, I wrote about this in the book, but the day I found out I had stage 4 cancer was the day my husband actually ran over my mother's foot in the parking lot of the doctor's office 2 times.
Oh.
So a horrible day for the entire family.
Yeah.
But seriously, this was the scene. I'm hearing from the doctor I had stage 4 cancer. And in the background, I see my husband pushing my mom in a wheelchair, screaming, somebody come help us. So that was like a Twilight Zone moment.
Wow.
So anyway, that doctor was like, okay, I don't think this is the right doctor. The next doctor was very anxious. The third doctor was at UCLA. He tells me the treatment plan.
Yeah.
So double mastectomy, radiation, more surgeries. He said, we're going to have to remove your ovaries. And I know you had wanted to have a child. I'm so sorry. You won't ever have a child. But I want you to know, if you had gotten pregnant, it would have killed you. And that moment right there was a pinch from God, from the universe, from someone saying,
Sure.
Jenn, we've been protecting you this entire time. Where I saw life as punishing me by not giving me the baby, life had been protecting me. So if life had been protecting me and working out, life with stage 4 cancer still is protecting me and working out. So I walked out that day believing that stage 4 cancer was a gift from God, and I was going to love it, and I was going to have gratitude for everything that I had, as opposed to seeing life and everything that I didn't have. And I chose to trust the journey and the doctors and the treatment and chemo and radiation and everything that has been researched for this many years for me to be able to receive it. What a gift. Thank you. And I was cancer-free in 4 months.
Wow.
So I had to do something to share what I learned.
Yeah.
So that's where it all began.
Wow.
And now 8 years later, yeah. And so I always joke, because I have a startup, I have a foundation, I have a book. It was easier to go through stage 4 cancer than to have a startup company. That's all I'm saying.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So,
I swear,
yeah.
I'm not a business person, but I had to figure it out because I had so much I wanted to share. So, yeah, that's been a struggle.
Yeah. What a story. We were talking a little bit before we hit go about cancer episodes, and yeah, that's really quite a story. It's so interesting, and I kind of want to we'll explore that a little bit more as we go through the conversation around the things that it takes in life to teach us lessons, the things that have to happen, because we're blind to those, or we're not willing to at least see. And they're, in a lot of cases, they're standing right in front of us.
Yep. And it's really learning how to work with your mind and not believe everything your mind is telling you, because your mind, like my mind, was conditioned since I was a child to believe a certain story that wasn't serving me. But I was so believing in the fact that I wasn't good enough and that I needed to prove my worth by achieving, when deep down, everybody is just good as we are, as if we can just like love ourselves fully and appreciate the journey and the imperfections and the figuring it out, like
Yeah.
give each other and ourselves this break of just trying to be human and like
Yeah.
find
So,
our joy, and our passion, which is so much pressure, when we're
right.
young and
It's
trying
just
to figure it
it's so well said. I mean, I loved your comment earlier, Jen, about, and I appreciate it from gymnastics, having been involved in athletics in college and high school myself. There's your score, and you're measured by your score,
out.
by how many wins. How many times did do for me in wrestling? How many pins did I get, and how many times did I walk off the mat? On the as a winner or a loser. And there's no gray. You're either this or you're that.
And your emotional well-being is related to, are you a winner or are you a loser? And you're happy
Yeah,
if you won, and you're not happy about yourself if you lost. So like you have no control over how you feel because it's all external,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. With just tremendous peaks and valleys, right?
Yeah.
All the angst that comes with it. So when one of the things is, I think would be interesting to kind of talk about for a moment, just is kind of that. How do you how did you develop that mindset to kind of move past that? And I know mindset isn't something you develop once and it's a switch, and you can say, "Oh, I'm done, and I'm not going to think that way anymore."
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I have a story around, well, one, I believe life is always unfolding for our best interest, if
mhm.
we can believe that. And I like kind of connecting the dots from where every chapter in our life.
Yeah,
And um, I learned how to hate myself and how to like really be judgmental through gymnastics. I learned how to be perfect. I learned how to be strong. I learned how to hold in my feelings and be a soldier. So I learned how to be strong. I had so much discipline and I had so much passion to go to the Olympics. I knew what I
sure.
wanted to do. I followed my heart in that way. So this was me, now me getting stage 4 cancer. I'm being asked to heal the little child that had so much passion and so much hard work and so much discipline, but also learned some rules and some habits that aren't helping her and making her feel low and unloved.
No,
So I am now training for my life and looking at this like, I have a goal. I want to be alive. I want to be here. I want to be healthy again. So
right.
I had that in me already. And now I see the healing part was the healing version of the self love part. And once I started seeing how judgmental and critical I was, and I had a moment of like, forgive. That word kept coming up. Forgive yourself, Jen. You're doing your best. There's nothing wrong with you. And it was really just like this awareness of, wow, I really didn't like myself and nobody else is going to
Oh,
like me. And
right.
so I understood what I needed to heal. And so once I understood it, I'm like, I'm going to do it, you know?
Yeah. So when you were so what it's so interesting because as we were talking kind of pre-show also too about leaders and leadership, and I think a lot of that goes on in the business world. We'll come back to starting a business, the challenges with doing that, because I want to explore that a little bit. But I think that's kind of endemic with leaders where there is that, what score am I? And score is, did I hit the number? Is my margin right? Is the profit right? Do I have the right people? There's all these micro scores and major scores, that
Mhm.
follow you as a leader. And I think after a while, you people, and particularly, and I suffered this in my career as a CEO, it's easy to lose track of your own identity. You begin to become the score,
Yep. Yep.
and as that score, the challenge becomes there. So before we kind of talk about starting a company, because I loved your tease kind of going into that, but let's talk a little bit about kind of your the mindset habits, right? Because you make up your mind and you're going to do it, right? But making up your mind to go do it is different than the daily steps. What steps do you take?
Yeah.
What things do you do? Because I really love what you're talking about. I think it's very important for leaders to hear this.
Well, I think, yeah, I think, going from sick to health was also kind of like a
Yeah,
business in a way. Like I had to step into a life in a different way, and
Mhm.
going through treatment. I'm going to lose my hair. I'm going to, before I start treatment, I had no idea, like I'm not a sick person. I'm never get a cold. I have such a good immune system. So I'm like, I have no idea what am I going to be like as a sick person? Because you have all these like fears. And then
Oh,
I was like, you know what? I couldn't, I'm just going to show up every day with gratitude for this day because, the doctors are telling me I'm going to die within 5 years. So that's a possibility. So if
right.
I'm going to die in 5 years, I'm not going to waste one day not appreciating today. And if today is going to chemo, that's going to be my day. I'm going to sit in the chair and appreciate chemo as healing medicine. I said a prayer. Thank you for allowing me to receive this medicine that has been made for me to save my life. Thank you for taking the cancer cells. Thank you for saving the healthy cells.
Yeah,
And I allowed the surrender of my body to receive chemo. And I didn't look at it as poison, and that was one of the things I think that saved my life. My body
sure.
didn't resist it or, say, it's killing me. I had a whole narrative around it. I had a whole narrative around being bald. First of all, it's very cold without hair on your head. So
Yes.
I did a lot of things. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk out. Are people gonna see me as a sick person or like a badass rock and roll chick? I didn't
Sure.
know. I'm just gonna experience life as a bald woman because who else? Nobody else gets to do this. It's so
Yeah.
rare. I got a wig in every color and like pink and blonde and short and long. And my husband and I, we named them. So my husband would joke, like, I get to, have a hall pass, every other week or so. We kind of made it fun. Uh,
Sure. I get it.
like I was someone who kept my feelings inside and didn't like making waves. And boy, chemo like really takes you down emotionally. And so I was just like a little kid screaming for their mommy when they felt like they needed their mommy,
Uh,
crying or asking for, naps or help, or like it was just a beautiful thing for me because you don't know me, for me, because I've always been so strong, for
sure.
me to be weak and allow myself to be weak and not have the judgment and feeling so free in the fact that people aren't leaving me because I'm weak. People are still loving me. They're actually really helping me when I'm the weakest and most vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so I loved the whole journey. I really did. And I still say cancer was the best thing that happened to me because I'm such a different person and I am such a better version of myself.
Yeah. It's such a,
So that is how I walk through life. And every day, grateful for the day. We never know when the last day is going to be.
yeah, that's, yeah, so true on many counts. So it's interesting. The leaders, I would go back a couple of minutes in this conversation. I love the conversation, the comments, Jen, around, beginning the day with gratitude and
Mhm.
accepting that this is the day and the purpose of the day. And a lot of times I think it's easy to, when you've got, we'll kind of get into your business right after this, but as a leader, you've got domains of pressure. You got pressure down, pressure up, pressure left, pressure right, and it's kind of pushing, and it gives you that oh crap moment. When you're getting up in the morning, getting ready to head into the office or Zoom call or wherever you happen to be, and to stop with gratitude and be grateful for the experience, for the lesson, for the
Mhm.
benefits, for what you take away from it that makes you a better person and the people around you better. It's easy to
Mhm.
fall into that trap. Forget to do that.
Oh, and it can also be such a small thing. Like I'm just thinking, grateful this traffic in LA is right here right now because uh, I
Yeah.
get to hear the whole podcast or whatever, or
Mhm.
grateful that this person cut me off and made me veer into a different lane because it saved me from something else. Like there's always a story to make something bad turn into something that works for you.
Yeah.
So, and I just like to play around with that and I also just like, life is still hard, life is still not easy. I still wake up and I'm not in a good mood, but I get to be
Sure.
in a bad mood because I'm alive. I get to have a bad day. I get to have a bad hair day because now I have hair. I didn't have hair before. I never had a bad hair day when I was bald. Now I get,
I
so,
love
um,
it.
I get to,
Yes.
I
And
get
I first,
to, yeah, I get to be scared. Oh, I feel a lump. Oh no, it's all happening again. The PTSD is still there. I get to then find out from the doctor that it's nothing, and then I get to like feel alive and like so
sure.
appreciative again.
Uh,
So
that's that's fun. Listeners, you hear me chuckle sometimes at what Jenn was talking about, only because there's deep personal experience in my family with my wife had cancer, I had cancer, and the loss of hair. So I completely appreciate that. And when my wife lost her hair with the going through her chemo and through all of that, same sort of thing with wig and my favorite statement. She's never a fan about when I talk about her on the podcast, but I'm proud of my wife. But one of my favorite things to yell at her was, "Woman, put your hair on. We're leaving." And
that's hilarious.
and we still do it to this day. We're a decade past that, 12 years,
Yeah.
13 years past that. But my favorite thing was, "Woman, put your hair on," and we would go do something. But
Well,
anyway,
that just reminds me, like, sometimes, like, if I was sad or in a bad mood, like, Larry's way of making me laugh would be because I play piano, not piano, sorry, guitar. And he would come into my office with my wig on and like and play guitar, like, and just do a person impersonation of some crazy person. And it would always make me laugh. So,
we need
uh,
we need we need those people. Yes, we do. Oh
yeah,
my gosh. So let's talk a little bit about. I want to talk about the foundation. Talk about starting a business and kind of
yeah,
what you learned. So I think one of the wonderful parts of this story, Jen, is taking what you personally experienced and then and expanding that out into something that impacts other lives, other people, other the things. So let's talk a little bit about kind of that journey, kind of lessons you learned in starting a business, kind of starting that, and
yeah.
kind of what came out of this. Because I'll give you first of all the tip of the hat, because there's a lot of courage to step through that door of fear to go do things that we don't know how to go do.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I started the company after my second round of chemo
Hmm.
when I felt the tumors dissolving. And I felt like I really trusted I'm going to be okay. And what I'm doing, love, gratitude, and trust, are superpowers that we have within us all. And I go full on out. Like in my mind, I'm going to help everybody cure cancer and never have to die from cancer. And
Sure.
if we can't figure out a cure with medicine, I'm going to empower every patient so they don't have to die. So that's, best case scenario. And I'm like, okay, how do I do this? I had a friend who just had like this tote bag in her closet and it said love. And
Hmm.
it sparked an idea, like, because I was still in chemo. I need a big bag to bring things to. What about like a tote bag that says love and reminds me or whoever's carrying it that love is my
Sure.
superpower and love is a choice? So that was the seed that was planted. And also, I had a friend who was a huge manufacturer in accessories.
Okay.
So he helped me come up with a line that had tote bags and crossbody bags, clutches, and every bag would say love and share this message and give back to cancer research at UCLA. That was
Okay.
how it started. And that started in February, March of 2017.
Hmm.
So over the years, and there was no thought about how to do a business. It was like, I'm just going to show up and see what I have to do.
Wow.
So the good thing is, I had a husband that knew how to open, LLCs. I had friends, I had people helping. And my whole thing is I'm just going to ask people when I don't know what I'm doing, which
Right.
is never. I never know what I'm doing. So I'm just going to ask people. And I have no idea how I survived this long. But through the years, it has grown from an LLC. I met somebody who was a cancer survivor who she wanted to be my partner, which was great. And we wanted to turn the LLC into a foundation. So we did.
Cool.
And then I met somebody, also a cancer survivor, who knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to build a company to spread love and joy through accessories and a lifestyle brand that could support the foundation, whose main mission is to support cancer patients through treatment. So the mission of the foundation: fill these tote bags with items that can get you through treatment, essential items, comforting items,
Sure.
and the patients don't have to pay for it. This is a gift from the foundation, and it's supported by donations and fundraisers and all that, and also the company.
Right.
So I kept the foundation, and then I opened up a C corp, and the title, my cancer was called triple negative. I got the title love, zero negative, because I felt like I was sending like love out through this bag, and the consumers are intentionally getting to choose a product that helps them remember love, that also gives them the opportunity to give something back to somebody going through treatment.
Right.
But the company doesn't just have to be about cancer, because we all need more love. We all need more gratitude. We all need more trust.
Right.
So now, 8 years later, I can't do it all by myself. This is where, like, as a businesswoman, I see myself in pivoting. Where is life showing me where to go? So
Sure.
this year, my focus is growing more programs in the foundation, where we're going to go for more grants and build the foundation, and then also build my speaking platform, because I have so
Good.
much to say, and I have like a map of how to find yourself when life is not working out.
Right.
And the company, I'm calling in the best business partner, and we have angel investors, but I realize, like, I need, to build it the way I want to build it, it's going to take a bigger investment.
Sure.
So it's a
Yeah.
pause. It's still, the mission's still there, but I'm smart enough to know, like, towards the end of the year last year, I was feeling so stressed out, and it wasn't fun anymore.
Right.
And I had to, instead of making me feel bad, like I'm a failure, I had to say, I can't do everything myself. So
Smart.
yeah. And I still have all the accessories. I mean, people can still purchase them, and I can still send it to them.
Sure.
But the focus right now is on the foundation and growing that. And we have some really great ideas that we're going to be implementing this year. And also, every year we have a comedy fundraiser at the Comedy Store. The Comedy Store in
Of course.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
we've had 2 already, and we'll have one in October, November this year, but where we get big name comedians and we raise a lot of money and we laugh for a night together, and nobody's angry, nobody's stressed. We have so much fun, and we put the fun in fundraising
That's
for these
fantastic.
fundraisers.
So my promise, I'll put this in the podcast, that my promise is to I'll help on my side through the podcast promote that fundraiser. So as podcast is going to be out long before that point in time, but when we get to that
Yeah,
point, I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
make sure that we have an opportunity to help promote that. I think
Okay. Yeah.
that's so important. One of the God, so much of this just touches my heart. I'm trying to maintain the manly composure and not mist up on you here a little bit. But listening to what you're talking about, it is that genuine gift of somebody cares and love as people are going through challenging times. And you said a couple of things in there, I think, that are really, really important. And I want to go back and touch on them. The first is, is stress, right? When we're really stressed, when I work with executives and stuff that I do, one of the very first indicators of stress is it's a disconnect. Stress occurs, burnout occurs when you're disconnected from the mission.
Yep. Yeah.
Whenever, that's when things get, that's stress starts happening there. And the very first thing, so just as a point of recognition for what you were talking about, it's very important to do what you're doing, which is to get reconnected to the mission. Reconnect.
Well, an amazing way of seeing it, and it makes so much sense. And the mission is me and my heart. So when I'm disconnected to me, and my
Then,
heart, then I'm not going to go anywhere. So
right.
that's like the act of self-love and taking care of yourself. And it makes so much sense as a leader in anything, because
Yeah.
leader, has to be coming from that passion, and that.
Yeah. And the word leader gets misconstrued because leader isn't necessarily business. Leader is self, family, friends, business. Leader, the word, it's kind of like saying I'm going to the doctor, right? I could be going to 19 different kinds of doctors, from chiropractors to dentists, and they all have the DR in front of their name.
Yeah.
But leadership still connects into all of the things in our. I love teaching. One of the topics I love talking about is there's no such thing as work-life balance. There's only life.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah.
So,
there's only life. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're out of alignment, everything's stress occurs, disconnect occurs.
Cancer for me was like a major shake. You're not aligned. You're not aligned. And I was so not aligned because of stage 4 cancer. And I like to say, like, if I had stage 2, I would just be annoyed and not even take it seriously. Thank God I had stage 4. Thank God I almost died, because then it was like, you got to get your shit together.
I know. That's a heck of a thing to chuckle about, but that's such a good lesson. It's like, well, yeah.
So true. It's so true. And also, what I've learned as a leader and a business person, if something works for you, it's going to work for somebody else. So that's how I came up with the program for the patients, because when I was a patient, I received free gifts from friends, from family, from random people, cards, texts, just saying, I'm thinking about you. What do you need? Like I'm sending prayers. And it made me feel so like supported and like held as I'm going through this journey. People are holding me up. And that was like, I want to have other people feel that way. And so that's sort of how it became the Chemo Love Tote program from our foundation.
Yeah, that's so cool, Jen. I just love that, because you're doing leadership. Real authentic leadership is built on compassion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's all the other hoo-ha that goes along with it. Yeah, you got to know technical stuff and P&Ls and numbers and finances, and all of that stuff occurs. But real authentic leadership is about people, right? It's all about people in the collection of a relationship. So compassion has to be a component. And when compassion's not, leadership fails. Not to turn this into something I talk about. So
no, it's so true.
So but I love the lessons, and leaders just listen to the lessons Jen's having. So as you're exploring this, I think this is very exciting as you're building the framework for this corporation and to take it to the next level, and then to build that platform to be able to take the message out to a broader audience. And to do more with it, because I think that there's so much power in that.
Yeah, it's almost like looking at the company and seeing it, okay, it's not aligned right now. That's why everything is so hard. It's not about the mission. It's just about the structure and the ease and the people involved.
Yeah.
And I was trying to do as much as I could by myself, and hiring people because they were inexpensive as opposed to really, really good, and so it's kind of like, okay, well, if, you're going to go to McDonald's, you're going to get McDonald's, you know what I mean? Like, so,
makes sense though.
Yeah. So it's all just asking for alignment and also ease and just, not stress. And why does everything has to happen at the same time? Like one thing and then one thing and one thing. And I also, side note, with the book, we want to make it into a movie. So we have that on the table as well.
Oh, that's very exciting. So
like a comedy like Harry met Sally, but then Sally gets cancer. That's basically our story.
What a good, what a good, what a good story. So I want to just the next few minutes, talk about, so what, being an author myself, there's a reason why we write books.
Mhm.
What prompted the book? I love the title. Everyone Needs a Larry. That's such a cool title. And Larry's your husband, not to
There's
introduce
my
Larry.
husband. What prompted the book? Well, when I had this major transformation immediately, and I had been journaling through the whole journey of cancer. I was a journaler ever since I was 7, really. So I
Sure.
loved writing. That was my way of articulating my feelings. And so I had it in me. I got to write this down. I'm going to write a book. And it was my husband that said, "What about me?" I'm like, "What do you value?" He's like, "Well, aren't I part of the journey too as the caregiver? Like, nobody ever talks about the caregiver." I'm like, "That's
Ah,
so brilliant." Yes. So we decided to write a he said, she said story written from the patient and the caregiver, one journey, but two different sides. And it was also kind of right after the time. Do you remember the show, The Affair,
of
when
course.
it had two different perspectives? So we
Yeah.
kind of just took a look at everybody's lens going into this
Awesome.
story. And so it's kind of written as a he said, she said. And, we even fight in the book, like, yeah, that didn't happen, or that didn't happen, like we remembered things differently.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's really our story of falling in love, getting married, getting cancer, and surviving all of it, and how we did it, and how other couples hopefully can learn from all the mistakes we made, all the lessons we made. We have tips, we have advice, we have things to take to surgery, and what not to do, and what to look out for, and all that stuff. So it was our
Uh,
love letter to other couples going through something, as
uh,
serious as this,
that's awesome. Well, I
and
have,
also, yeah, making it happen.
so I mentioned I bought it today, and so I haven't read it, but I did some looking around, and there was 4 bullets that came out. I'm just going to touch on them that I found about it, which was the story the story was summarized about choosing love over fear, staying connected when life gets brutally hard, learning how to ask for help and how to give it as well, which is the law of reciprocity. There's a law around that. And then humor as a survivor skill. And I love you talking about
Oh
the
my gosh,
comedy that's and not a distraction. So
laughter is such a superpower. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Yeah.
that's awesome. So listeners, I would encourage you, go pick up a copy of the book. Here's a very interesting thing. A dear friend of mine has Parkinson's, and so I went out and bought a book on Parkinson's. What's Parkinson's about? What's the experience going on? What's happening? So I would encourage you pick up a copy of the book, not only just for the lessons that you learn from the book, but from the opportunity to have better, deeper understanding of those you may know who have cancer, or those who appear in your life who will have cancer, because it's a high likelihood it will occur, and share it with them, and come from a place of understanding so that you can help them and aid them as well. We're all on the hook to help each other. That's who
Yeah.
we are. That's what we're supposed to be doing. So,
It's so true. Yeah. We're all in this together, and we're all going through different things, and we're all healing for each other and for ourselves. But when one person heals, so too can the whole entire tribe.
well said. All I'll say is ditto to
Yeah.
at the end of that, to coin one of my favorite phrases. So, um, and listeners, as always, all of this will be in the show notes. So I'm not going to give you links to Amazon or any of that stuff here. So look at the show notes. You'll find the links to the book, or go to the website. You'll find them there as well. So I guess kind of the last thing is, and so one thing, Jen, I've never figured out how to get out of the podcast elegantly. So we're kind of at the point where but I would like the listeners to know, from you, how they can, a couple of things. The very first thing is how they serve you in your mission. How can listeners help you? And then what is it that you would like listeners to do that may help them? So,
Well, if they go to the website lovezeronegative.com
mhm.
and they're looking for an amazing gift for someone or themselves, we have great tote bags. We have great crossbody bags. and clutches, and they all look awesome. They remind you that you're carrying love when you put it on your shoulder. You're surrounded by love, you're choosing love, and you're also giving back to the Zero Negative Foundation.
Sure.
And if you have tons of accessories and you're not in the market for an accessory, you can go to the foundation, give a donation. Know that every donation helps us grow this Chemo Love Tote program, where we send gifts to patients in treatment. And if you're in the market for a good read, go to Amazon, get everyoneneedsalarry.com. It's a really fun, true story, and it will hopefully be on Netflix one day.
That would be awesome. Would love to see that. We need those kinds of stories. We do need those kinds of stories.
We do.
Well, I want to just, as we wrap, do a couple things. Very first thing is, as I promised, I want to end the podcast with gratitude. Thank you for the conversation. The podcast is chock full of lots of different insights, lots of things I think that leaders, if you listen carefully to what Jenn is talking about, there's so many corollaries to what you do professionally and what you do privately. Take some of those away. Get a pencil and paper and listen again and write them down. And go experiment, go test, and go fail and try again.
Yeah.
So I want to tell you thank you for being open and sharing and candid. This has been a fun conversation. So
it was so much fun. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. And I just can't say enough how powerful it is to come from love of yourself first, because you're the only person that can do you the best way.
Yeah.
And do you as best as you can, and love your full totality and perfect human being, and have gratitude for just this life that we get to live and be here and struggle and experience everything, and just trust that everything is unfolding for your best interest.
Awesome.
And go on the ride. We're all here for each other. Yes.
Yeah. Do the ride. All right, listeners, last two things. The very first thing is, do give the podcast a no, like, share, subscribe, comment in the podcast. All of those things matter. It has nothing to do with vanity. It has to do with how it works in the podcast world. It makes the podcast more visible so that other leaders can find it and hear the message, hear what Jenn talked about today, and improve themselves. The second thing is, share the podcast. If you know someone who could learn something, who is experiencing challenges, maybe going through cancer, if you know someone in that spot, share the podcast with them. Give them an opportunity to learn something, to be better, and to improve. And on that note, thanks everybody for listening to the podcast. I'm Doland. I'm the host. Jenn, thank you again for being here. And we'll see everybody on the next interview show podcast.
Thanks for listening to this week's The Next Interview Show podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and then take time to turn what you heard here into action.